Hello CreateStudio user. In this tutorial I will show you how to create a Stargate Portal Effect in CreateStudio free. And with this I mean the particle effect here, which is also called event horizon of a wormhole. And with this you later can make a scene or animation like the following I will show you. As a freebie, you will get the project file to this scene here. Link as always in the description. Let's begin. I go with a new project. Let's go with editing mode high and begin with a circle. I will match here the proportions or scaling of the project file. So I go with the scale to 87. With the color I go with a radial gradient. And I have here this favorite. You see here the color code of the first color point. And here the one for the second color point. And now let's enlarge this, let's say to about 10 seconds, so we have a little room here. And let's go to the effect and component section and go with particles. Let's stretch it to the length of the background. And now let's go to the settings of the particles. Okay, with the shape, you can go with the default shape. I go here with a circle. This makes it a little brighter. With the count, I go to 1000, size 1, color white is okay, animation, spiral, speed 3, radius 10, and scaling 100. So now we have this particle animation. You see, it's missing a lot. So therefore I go to effects and begin here with the blur effect. And here I go to 20. This was the first step. Then the next step is another effect, the turbulence effect. This is the very important effect here on this. And here I go to scale 80. Frequency 10. Direction 0. And the speed I go to 1. So now you have here this nice liquid texture or particles. But you see also that you have here outside of the circle, you have also particles. And it's better to get rid of them, but let's make this later. Before I want here another effect, a twirl effect. Let's bring this also on the particle layer. And I go with the strength to 100. And I want here an in animation, which lasts about 1 second 15 frames. So now we have something like this. You see that the turbulence is here. I have this now twice. I have to go with the speed again with 1 and enter. And now it's okay. So now let's get rid of the particles outside of the circle. Therefore we go for a track matte. And I will duplicate this here. Let's give this another name. Let's say particles background. And let's duplicate it, bring this above the particle layer, remove excess track, rename it particles track mat. And now it could be that you get a problem here when I now go to first I go with another color here. I go with a solid color and make it white. When I now go for track mat and let's mask it with the particle track mat. You see there are particles outside of the circle. Also when I go to alpha, you see it gets rid of a few of them. This is the normal outside. And here you see there are not so many particles outside, but it's not what I want. So I have to go here to none again and have to make a group of this. And let's rename this particles. And now when I make a track mat, it now is okay. You see outside of the circle there are no particles left. And I have something like this. Nice. Let's now group this all and rename it particles. Let's say wormhole. Okay, now we have all in one group. And now let's go to the rings. I will not show you everything that is in the scene because this will last too long. And if the particles are the only thing you need, then you are good to go. I will show you, let's see, one thing I will show you before I go to the rings. Another track mat for the particles. Let's go and make here another circle of 87. Let's go here with color white and I will go with edge feather. Strength I go to 40. And with this I go, let's say, let's begin here with, I had to go down deep. I want that first the outside of the particles go in and then the inside so that it closes here the particles. So let's add animation. Scale, easing I go with out soft, and with the length of the animation I go the same as the twirl. This was 1.15, and I think I have to go a little up with the scale of the circle because of the edge feather. So I go with something like, let's try 100. Okay. Let's now see, I have to go here also 200 first. So now I go here for, let's see, one is 100, one is 0. I hope I get the right one here. Let's go with 110. So now all is covered. And I go here to 0. Let's try, otherwise we have to change here the numbers. Let's go with TrackMat. And go with, I first rename this. Let's call it Warm Hole TrackMat. And now let's go for TrackMat. Let's see, Wormhole TrackMat Alpha. Let's try inverted. And now go in. You see it's okay. Make something like this. You also see here that I have here a little halo here. So I go with this, with the scale up until it's gone. Let's go 120. I think this is okay. Let's play again. Yes, this is nice. Nice. Let's see, effect feather 40 is okay. Let's try something when I go here and make this 0 and go to the end and make this 120. Now I have the opposite. This is for if you want to go out, then at the end this is okay, but when I go here to TrackMat and I go not with invert, I have this here. And I have invert, I have going out, so I'm right with the first one with inverted. Sorry, with inverted. I was right. So I begin here with 120 and end here with 0. So now I have this here. Okay, let's now go with the rings. Therefore, let's go and, no, I don't want to group them because if you later, I don't will make it go then out with the wormhole. Okay, we can make this. Let's say it's now in. Let's go to 5 seconds and make another add animation. Here I want to go with, let's go with InSoft, properties, scale. Let's make the same length. Or let's make it a little shorter. Let's go to 6 seconds. I only will show you this. Here you have then to go from 0 here to 120. So you now have then, this is, it comes in. And here it goes out. You also could choose here opacity with this, but I don't want it here, the opacity. think this is okay. If you want here twirl, go with a twirl out. I don't think you need here a twirl out then at the end. I don't make it in the project file, so it's okay to don't make it. Let's try opacity. Let's say I'm here on 100. Let's go here with 0. No, this will not work. Because of the track mat, you have to go with this. Okay, let's now go with the rings. And therefore I go with another. Let's begin here. Let's go with another circle. I make this the same size here, 87. And go with a border width of 60. The color, go down with the opacity to 0. And for the color, I choose a darker gray. Let's say something like this. Let's bring this here. Okay. And let's now enlarge this a little bit. So I also go to the end of the other circle. This is something like here. Let's go for a round number. 93. 94. Let's look here. 95. Now I'm out. Let's go to 94. So now all is covered here outside. And now let's go for a texture of this, because if I want to have the illusion of a rotation, I have to go here with a texture. But first I go with an inner shadow. And the distance I go to 0. Black is okay. And here I go to something like 0.2. Let's see here. To get a little depth, it's good to make it. Sometimes you have to click here twice or to make this twice, because point numbers it CreateStudio don't like. 0.2. Okay, I'm fine. Let's look for another background color. So now I have here a little depth for the first circle. And let's now bring in a texture. See, now I have something like this. Nice. Let's now go for a texture, and therefore I go to the stock library, go for images. I go here and want 3 rows, and I go for marble texture with the search. And let's scroll a little bit. I have to go and go and go and go to get the texture I want. You can also go with something like this, but I go with the same as in the scene before or in the project file. And therefore I have to go down a little bit, and I take this one. I import it to my project folder and bring it on the timeline here. Okay. And with the blend mode here, I go to soft light. So I have now this nice texture here, but I have it everywhere. So I also only want it on the ring, and I want it not so hard. So I go first here with the opacity to 60. So now I have this nice subtle texture. And to make here track mat, I first rename this and call this ring 1. And let's duplicate it. Rename it ring 1. And this also ring 1 texture track mat. I bring this up, and here I don't need the effects inner shadow. And let's remove excess tracks, and now let's go for track mat ring 1 texture track mat alpha. Okay, now I only have the texture on the ring. And let's group this all. Let's go into the group. I don't need so much outside, so I go with the boundaries to, let's say, Facebook. Back to main timeline. So when I now rotate it, you see now the rotation, or the illusion of rotation here. Okay. Let's now go for another ring. Therefore, I rename this to ring 1. And make a duplicate and call this ring 2. And I also go here in and rename them all to the ring 2, ring 2. So let's go back to main. And here let's now decrease, make this larger, and therefore go to Alt, and then I go up here. And now you will see something. And therefore I had to make this tutorial again. You see here this problems here. This, and also at the top and at the right. So this will not work for this. Let's go back here. And to not have this problem, I have to go in the group and have to go to border, and with border I have to disable scale when in group. One time for the texture and one time for the ring. Okay. I also want to have this a little larger, but let's first go back to the main timeline here. And when I now go and enlarge this, you see now you have no problems with this, or you don't have this problem as before. I go to a point here. Let's go a little in. Something like this, so that I see here this black border. Let's make it a little larger. Let's go to something like this. Okay. I want this a little larger, so I have to go. Let's make it here in the easy edit properties. Let's go here with border, and I don't need here the fill. Let's link them together. So I only have here now the border ring. And let's go for, let's say 100. So now, oh, this is only the scale. Let's go back. I have to go in this and go with the border width. Let's go to something like, let's say, I think 70 is too much. Let's try 70 for both texture and ring. Let's go back to the main timeline. I think it's okay. Let's enlarge it a little bit. You see, I want to catch also the inner shadow of the first ring. So let's go with the scaling here, 117. Okay, now I think it's nice. Yes, I like this. Because I want to make another bevel here for the outer ring, and I also want to make this, let's go back to the setting, a little lighter. Let's go with something like this. And I go here back to the black background. But what you also see, you have here the same texture. This will not look nice. So I go in and go for the properties and make a vertical and a horizontal flip. So I got a different texture for the second ring here. Okay, nice. What I also have in the project is that I have another bevel here. I have also a black bevel. Let's go back here in the settings for the ring, or to the effects of the ring. I have inner shadow. You see it goes back here 0.5 and also here 0.5, 0.5. I hate this a little bit. Okay, I want this side here, or the upper side here, I want this white. So let's go here for a white color. Because I'm outside, and so this I think is much nicer. Let's go a little bit down here with the white. So now I have this bevel here. And to get a black bevel here at the other side, I have to go and make this a group. Let's rename it ring 2. Okay, and make here another inner shadow. Where do I have it? Inner shadow. And I have to go here the opposite, and the opposite angle is here at 350. And I go with the same distance, 0.2. And here also 0.2. Okay. You now see, let's go with another background here. Okay, you see that 0.2. So now you have here this shadow here, this black shadow here, at this part here, and you have the white shadow, the white inner shadow here at the top. So as the let's say the light comes from here, and now you have the right shadows and highlights here for this ring. Let's go back to the main timeline, and you see this works very nice here. Okay. Let's now go for animating the first ring. The second ring we don't have to animate. So I go here, I think I go with preset motion. Let's go 1 second, 1.5 seconds. I don't know what's in the project file, I only show you this. Let's go with rotation, rotate. Let's go with something like 80. Don't know minus. And I go with out soft so that it begins a little faster and it stops soft. Let's go to 115 and let's see here. Okay, it's the wrong way. I have to go to minus 80. Yes, I think this is nice. Okay, now I have to go with the wormhole track mat. I have to go with this two. I have to bring them to the right. And I think I also have here for the chevrons, let's say 10 frames, and bring this here. Okay. This and this. It's here, and back again. So nice. Let's have a short look at the chevrons. The chevron from the project file I got from the media tab, from the stock, and from the SVGs, and therefore I go with chevron. And I have not this one, I have, let's scroll a little bit. You also can take, let's go back here, I think. This here is also nice, but I take the same one as in the scene before, and this is this one. Let's import it. Go to project, and now let's bring this in here. Let's scale it down. Let's first flip it, and let's scale it down to something like, I don't know what I have here. I think I have here something like 14. Let's see. I want to go a little in here, and I want to have this here from the ring, in the middle of the ring. Let's center it. I think this is okay. Let's go to an even number here. Let's go to 4 to 4. Okay, I think this is nice. And let's bring this here to the 10-second mark. I also want here a shadow. I go with a blur. I go, let's say, to 1. Oh, a little more. Let's see if I can go with a distance here. I don't want here distance because let's go to something like 6. Yes, this is better. And I can go up with the opacity a little bit. Let's go with something like this here. Okay. I also want here another color, therefore I go with the, let's go with something like this here. Let's copy the color because I need it later. Okay. Control C. And let's go here for the border color the same. Let's go to Control V. And let's make here a border. But first I go here for, let's go to red. Okay. What I'm looking here for, when I go to 3, you see this slide, this here. I don't know if you see it. Let's go to 2. I have now this. And I think this is also okay. I like this more. Let's leave it to 2. Let's see if this gets a problem later. When I now go here back to the color, Control C, it's this here. And when I go back to red, I have this here. It's nice. Let's try it. I like it more than in the project file, so let's go with this. But first I want here also a little depth to this. And depth we get with inner shadow. And here distance 0 and blur 0 point. Let's go with 2. Let's try it. So I think this is okay. Let's make it again 0.2. I think I like it. Yes, I like it. Okay. To get now the chevrons around, I go and rename it chevron and duplicate it. And let's bring this here. You see the properties here are minus 424. So I go with this and delete the minus. So I have plus 424. Enter. And I go and flip it back. So I have now this at the opposite, at the bottom here. You see this is the same here as here. And now let's group this. And rename it chevron. And let's duplicate it. And here we go with the rotation, first 45, duplicate again, then 90, and duplicate again, and then 135. Okay, now we have 8 chevrons, but we only need 7 in this case because it stays a little bit in the ground. So that we go to the first chevrons here and I hide this one. I also want here an animation. Let's go back to the main timeline. And here the animation of the ring stops. And then I want the animation of this chevron to go in and to change the color to red, which is now red, but I want it gray. So I go here and go here first. Let's leave it red with an animation. Go with position and I go with fill. Easing I go to out back. So I then have a nice back animation. And I go here to 10 frames. And this is the end point, but with the starting point here, I go with the color code I have copied before. This is this one. And I also will go here 10 pixels up with this, with the position. Okay, so now I have this animation. It goes in, goes a little over in, and then goes back. And you see the color changed here to red. Nice. Okay, when I now play this, you see now I have gray and it's a little bit outside here of the ring. When I now play it, first the first ring rotates, then tuck and let. And it goes out. When it goes out, you have then to make this the opposite for all these chevrons, but I'll show you this in the project file. Okay. This was it for the explanations. I go now to the project file and show you the rest. I knew this is a long tutorial and therefore I want to make it a little shorter. So I don't want to delete it, so I go and no and save it because I like it, so I save it too. Okay, it's now saved. Let's exit and let's go back to the project file here. Okay. Let's delete this. For the overall music I have here, the music suspect, where I get a part of it. You can hear it, I think. Okay, you see here at the end, the chevrons go back, also with a back animation, and they go to gray again. What you also see, and therefore I go in this master group, you see that I have here a background, and this is a background also from the 3D images. Let's see if I can find it. Let's go to Studio and let's go to Backgrounds and let's go to 3D and download it. It takes a little computer power. I go with this gladiator. So I have this in the background, and to get the Stargate here in, I have to go with, let's see, I think this is this here. And here I have this duplicated. I go above the Stargate, let's call it so, and then I go and let's say I can show you this. Let's go and I'm here in, so it's a little bit different. Let's delete it. And I go here for a track below. And let's go with this image and duplicate it. I have to go here and bring this here beneath. Okay. You see that you see nothing. So I have to crop this. Let's see if I'm not on another. I double click it and then I cropped it here. You see that I see nothing. Let's go out here and let's make, in this case, it is easier when you make this at the beginning. So I go with a guide and bring this to this shadow, to the middle of the shadow. So now I have my guide here for cropping this. For cropping you have to double click it. And then I go and snap this to the guide. Okay. I don't need this. And now you see that the Stargate is now in the ground. And for the shadow, I go with two paths. I have one path here, and I make this with the pen feature. So I go from the beginning here of the Stargate to the end, and then I go with a blur effect here, in this case with 300. Because I show you without the blur effect. You see, this is the original path, and with the blur effect I'm now on this. I make then one for before the Stargate and one behind the Stargate, so that I then have this, let's say, realistic shadow here at the bottom. Okay, these were the shadows. Let's go to the chevrons. You see I have here the same. I have here this 7 chevrons. And here when I go, I have the one at the top goes here in and goes to red. And at the end, it goes back here. All go back from red to gray and go a little bit out. 10 pixels, 1 shift and arrow. So we have something like this. I also have here at the chevrons, I have here a noise texture and also a track matte of all the chevrons for the noise texture. When I go away with the texture, you see the difference. Let's make it back here. This is the same texture as I used for the rings. So this is the difference. This is without the noise texture and this is with the noise texture. You see now you have here this nice texture. I have gone here with the opacity to 50. Let's zoom out, and at the end for the chevrons, let's go here in one of the group. Let's go to let's say to this group. I have this animation where it goes out, goes from red to gray, and have this back animation here. You see it There's a little elastic here at the end. Okay, let's go back in the master group. I have this made for all of the chevrons the same. So I go back to the master group. For the chevrons, I have taken this camera shot sound effects. When you go to the sound effects and go with camera shot, you then get this. It's a little hard to play here. You got this. It's the one that is the most that I want to have here. It's not idle. If you have something better, then for the particle effect, for the wormhole going in, I have transition 23. And for out, I have here transition 16. You see it's a little bit late. And another camera shot here for the chevrons. Okay, the only thing I have to go on is now Tom. With Tom, I go with an animation, with an opacity animation from 0 to 100. Here at this point, you see, his walking action begins further. It begins here at 4 seconds, but with the opacity animation, I begin here at 5 seconds, 20 frames, and go then 10 frames, and now it's at 100. I don't have here, when I go here in, I have disabled start and end and rotate it in the, rotate him in the right direction. So he looks as he comes out now, out of the dark, out of the Stargate, out of the wormhole. And here I stop him and go with a wave animation. And here's also when I go out here with the wormhole. Okay, I have here Tom also as a preset. I choose here this one here. I think this is nice here with the glasses and with the olive green. I hope this is right. T-shirt or shirt and trousers. And so I hope you can now rebuild this scene. And if you have, or if you are an All Acces Pass member, then you can download this project file, link in the description, and can play it for yourself. I hope this will help you. Thank you and goodbye.